Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. It's official. The Sabah State Assembly has been dissolved. This means in the coming weeks, an election will be held in the state. Sabah Governor Juhar Mahiruddin has agreed to dissolve the State Assembly. According to Warisan President Shafi Abdal, he will remain as the caretaker Chief Minister until a fresh election is held. Speaking to reporters in Kota Kinabalu this afternoon, Shafi said that the people of Sabah and the state must be protected.
Macam mana tekanan berat pun yang kita lalui, in our mind, Sabah, negeri Sabah kita perlu pertahankan. Bukan saya mau pertahankan jawatan saya Ketua Menteri. Itu tidak penting. Apa artinya kalau kita tidak mampu mempertahankan hak orang Sabah dan negeri Sabah? Kita boleh jadi Ketua Menteri, kita boleh jadi Menteri. Tapi keadaan dia tidak akan menentu bagi kita. Masa depan anak-anak kita yang kita perjuangkan selama ini. Ya, banyak yang telah kita lakukan. Ya, banyak yang kita perjuangkan. Saya berusaha.
The Warisan leaders said the polls would be held within the next 60 days as stipulated by the state constitution to allow voters to decide if the mandate should remain with him or return to his predecessor, Musa Aman. Shafi said the Election Commission would announce the date of the state election. The latest development in the state comes after Sungai Sibuga Assembly person Musa Aman claimed on Wednesday that he had the numbers to form a new Sabah government. However, this was disputed by Shafi. At a press conference in Kota Kinabalu on Wednesday, Musa claimed that he had secured statutory declarations from enough state assembly persons supporting him, but he did not state the numbers. When asked how many assembly persons have sided with him, he said, quote, "We have enough to form a government with a simple majority." During the press conference today, Shafi couldn't help tease Musa for the Umno leader's alleged attempt to be sworn in instead.
Jadi apa juga cerita, diorang pergi istana, mau angkat sana, angkat sini, ada jumlah sana, jumlah sini, Dewan sudah pun dibubarkan. Dalam perundangan negeri Sabah, perundangan negara kita, walaupun Dewan bubar, dalam jangka masa 60 hari, I'm still the caretaker. I'm still...
However, Musa Aman refused to go down without a fight earlier today. Before it became official, he was still convinced he would form the state government without the need for an election. The dissolution of the State Assembly is not something former Sabah Chief Minister Musa Aman is looking forward to, and he's now thinking of ways to prevent it from happening. Musa maintains that he has 33 State Assembly persons with him, enough to form a simple majority and form the state government. He said they will now speak to their lawyers to weigh their options, which may include trying to appeal to the governor so that the assembly need not be dissolved. He said this during a press conference that was aired on Astro Awani this afternoon. Section 7 of the Sabah State Constitution states that when a chief minister loses the confidence of the state assembly, he must resign if the governor does not agree to dissolve the legislature. Musa's rival interim chief minister Shafi Abdal earlier announced that Sabah Governor Juhar Mahiruddin had agreed to dissolve the state assembly and return the mandate to the people. Umno has no interest in joining Perikatan Nasional formally if the coalition decides to register itself, but that doesn't mean they're out of the PN government. Umno President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi today announced that the party will not formally join the Perikatan Nasional coalition.
Umno membuat keputusan untuk tidak menyertai Perikatan Nasional. Sebaliknya akan memperkasakan Muafakat Nasional atau MN bersama-sama dengan PAS dan kepimpinan dalam komponen Barisan Nasional atau BN. Sokongan kepada Kerajaan Perikatan Nasional hanya berlandaskan kepada sokongan ahli-ahli Parlimen UMNO dan BN serta sokongan adun-adun dalam pembentukan kerajaan pusat dan di beberapa buah negeri.
However, this does not mean UMNO will be leaving the PN government. UMNO will still be a part of the PN government led by Muhyiddin Yassin.
No, you must understand, this is not the announcement of our decision to pull out from Perikatan Nasional. My decision here is to announce that we are not going to participate in the formation of Perikatan Nasional. Our decision is not to be the component member of Perikatan Nasional if Perikatan Nasional were to be registered. Okay?
Zahid said UMNO and PAS will also discuss Muhyiddin's request for Bersatu to be a part of Muafakat Nasional. Previously, it was reported that Bersatu is expected to join the Muafakat Nasional Pact amidst apprehension among UMNO grassroots over the conviction against Najib Abdul Razak on 7 charges of corruption. Millions are set to celebrate Hari Raya Aidil-Adha tomorrow, and the Ministry of Health hopes Malaysians will comply with the SOPs. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Norisham Abdullah has advised Malaysians who will be celebrating Hari Raya Aidil-Adha to observe the standard operating procedures set by the government.
Kementerian Kesihatan menasihatkan orang ramai untuk mengelakkan daripada mengadakan sebarang perhimpunan besar-besaran bagi sambutan Hari Raya Aidil-Adha. Beberapa prosedur standard operasi iaitu SOP telah pun dibangunkan bagi membolehkan sambutan diraikan dengan norma baru. Kementerian Kesihatan juga ingin menekankan bahawa pemakaian alat pelitup muka adalah amat digalakkan di tempat yang sesak dan sempit, terutamanya sekiranya penjarakan fizikal iaitu physical distancing sukar diamalkan.
Some of the SOPs set include a limit of not more than 10 animals for sacrificial rites at each mosque and surau, including other locations approved by the District Religious Office and the local authority. The number of people allowed to be present at the ritual sacrifice will also be limited to 20 attendees for every animal. Meanwhile, Dr. Hesham said Malaysia recorded 8 new COVID-19 infections in the country, with 3 imported cases and 5 local transmissions. 3 more COVID-19 community transmission cases were also detected in Sabah as the possibility of a snap election looms in the state. Malaysia also recorded 5 recoveries today and no new fatalities linked to COVID-19. Hundreds are still being arrested every day for not following the SOPs set by the government. 213 individuals were arrested by the police on Wednesday for not complying with government SOPs to curb the spread of COVID-19. From that total, 22 individuals were remanded and 173 individuals were fined. Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the high number of detainees showed that the police no longer compromises with SOP offenders. So what were these people doing when they were arrested? Ismail Sabri provided a simple breakdown during his press conference today.
Dari jumlah yang ditahan tersebut, seramai 14 individu terlibat dengan aktiviti pub serta kelab malam, manakala 199 individu terlibat dalam aktiviti-aktiviti lain yang melanggar SOP.
The minister did not specify what the other activities were.
Kita sangat berbesar hati dan berterima kasih jika rakyat terus menjadi mata dan telinga bagi pihak berkuasa untuk melaporkan tindakan-tindakan pihak yang melanggar SOP.
Meanwhile, the government has decided to allow matriculation colleges to reopen starting August 10th. However, students will be required to register beforehand. Teacher training colleges, meanwhile, will only be allowed to operate in September. These reopenings are to adhere to guidelines and standard operating procedures determined by the Education Ministry. Guan Eng thinks the government should extend the moratorium to all borrowers. Former Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng has urged the government to extend the loan moratorium to all borrowers and not just those who have lost their jobs or have had wage cuts. Lim said that ending the moratorium in September could lead to small and medium enterprises to either cut jobs or close shop and result in even more people being unemployed. He called on the government to help the people before they lose their jobs or have their wages cut. According to Lim, the cost of extending the moratorium for 6 months would cost an additional 6.4 billion ringgit, and this could be borne by banks who earned 31 billion ringgit in profits last year. Alternatively, he said the government could also afford to bear the costs. According to him, if the government said it can spend 295 billion ringgit on the Perikatan program, what is 5.4 billion when it can help 8 million Malaysians and hundreds of thousands of small and medium enterprises? He said in response to Prime Minister Muhyiddin Nasser's announcement to implement extension and targeted relief that is more focused on groups that truly need them. Coming up next, CEOs of the world's top tech companies had some answering to do on Wednesday. They may be the world's top CEOs, but that didn't save them from facing jabs at a congressional hearing. CEOs from Google, Facebook, Amazon and Apple faced jabs for alleged abuse for their market power from Democrats and Republicans on Wednesday in a much-anticipated congressional hearing. The tech titans appeared on Capitol Hill, albeit remotely, to face lawmakers in a much-anticipated hearing on antitrust concerns. Members of both parties at the House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on Wednesday grilled the four powerful CEOs, Apple's Tim Cook, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Alphabet's Sundar Pichai and Amazon's Jeff Bezos, on everything from market dominance to data surveillance to military contracts to political censorship.
Simply put, they have too much power. This power staves off new forms of competition, creativity and innovation.
The four men, who together represent about $5 trillion of the US economy, faced accusations of abusing their immense power to remain dominant.
So my first question, Mr. Pichai, is why does Google steal content from honest businesses?
I disagree with that characterization. Just last week, I met with many small businesses. In fact, today we support 1.4 million small businesses.
Zuckerberg tried to convince Congress that Facebook was not as dominant as it was made out to be and still faced competition.
In many areas, we're behind our competitors. The most popular messaging service in the US is iMessage. The fastest growing app is TikTok.
Bezos touted Amazon's mammoth size as contributing to job creation, but tried to argue it was still a little fish in a big pond.
The retail market we participate in is extraordinarily large and competitive. Amazon accounts for less than 1% of the $25 trillion global retail market and less than 4% of US retail.
While Tim Cook faced heat on whether Apple was stifling competition in its App Store.
Has Apple ever retaliated against or disadvantaged a developer who went public about their frustrations with the App Store?
Sir, we do not retaliate or bully people.
Democrats wanted assurances that Facebook would police hate speech and misinformation in hopes of preventing a repeat of the kind of foreign election interference the US saw in 2016.
Just cut to the chase. Big tech's out to get conservatives.
While Republicans like ranking member Jim Jordan said the real election interference was social media companies purportedly targeting conservatives. COVID-19 has killed more people in the US than anywhere in the world. The United States reached a grim new milestone on Wednesday, surpassing 150,000 coronavirus deaths, the most of any country on Earth, nearly a quarter of the world's death toll. More than 10,000 Americans have died in the last 11 days. This is the fastest increase in deaths since early June, according to a Reuters tally. To slow the spread of new cases, many states have reversed course on reopening efforts, but there is still debate on whether it's safe to reopen schools in the fall. US President Donald Trump has accused Democratic lawmakers of wanting to keep schools shut for political reasons. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.